can't tell you how many times a week I receive emails from young people, 20, 30 years old, that really use Bond as a way to emulate or get inspiration around style. I mean, think about all the, we used Marlon Brando and we used Paul Newman way back in the 60s, and every generation, well, now they have Bond, they even have Daniel Craig with What's Daniel Wearing. But I think a lot of that has to do with accessibility. And these young people don't need to buy Tom Fords. They can get a frugal Bond moment. They can get an iconic alternative. And the accessibility and being able to, have that invisible Bond connection, I think is so approachable, which is why you have such an increase in the Bond community with lifestyle. And I know it may frustrate people who are like, well, why aren't they reading more of the books? Or why aren't they reading more of the films? Well, guess what? They're being introduced to those aspects of Bond. And that's just a natural progression, I think.
Yeah. So, Matt, is there any other brands, again, yeah, really good point, but maybe a side shift. Are there any other brands that you'd perhaps like to see introduced to the Bond franchise and go, well, actually, they could really benefit from seeing this sort of feel and flavor introduced into the films? Maybe a watch brand or something that you personally use in your own lifestyle and go, crikey, this is what I like to hashtag worthy of Bond.
Yeah, for me, I think I've actually just been moving more and more towards the Bond brands, away from other brands. And I think just because as I can move more towards actual Bond brands, I think there is something special to me about these brands having been used in the films. Now, not all of the brands in the films I don't think are quite as worthy of Bond. There are some brands that I'm not a fan of that are used in the Bond films. We don't need to talk about those brands, but
yes, talk about them. Which ones?
No. But there are some brands like there's a brand in New York that I love, Paul Stewart, and I like them because they remind me of some of the old things that Bond used to wear, like some of the Sean Connery stuff. But although that's a very American brand, they're inspired by a lot of English style. But to me, that's an American brand, so it might not be the best choice for Bond, even though it is a brand that I think maybe is worthy of Bond, and I like them. They're not a British brand, and I do like the British brands being involved with Bond, and I like how Jenny, to me, brought so many British brands that Bond had never worn to the Bond series.
Yeah.
What do you think about the whole idea of Daniel Craig clearly has a lot of influence on new Bond? What Bond wears, probably from Spectre all the way through now to No Time to Die. I'm sure he's in that wardrobe and costume room with Sidarat, the costume designer, helping to make those decisions. I'm not saying every one of the decisions, but probably a lot of them. What do you feel about that aspect, Pete?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
No, Matt. Yeah, sure, Matt. Go for it.
To me, well, I do think that he is probably has a little too much say in it, and he is bringing brands in that he's a fan of, but I don't think that maybe that aren't quite right for Bond.
I do think it's slightly strange how we've come complete full circle on something like this, where we have Daniel Craig having a lot of say. He's got a lot of clout. This might be his last Bond. Obviously, we're going to dance to his tune. And if you think all the way back, it was the director, Terence Young, dictating terms to Sean Connery and saying, well, look, you need to learn how to walk, talk. You need to know which way the forks go on the dinner set table. Let me take you to my tailor. Let me take you to my shoemaker. So, we had one Bond that had no idea about style. And now we have one that has, a really good cemented idea of what he likes, what he wears, and what looks good on him. So I do think that's quite a nice juxtaposition of how we've ended up with the Bonds here.
Yeah, but it's not the first time that we've seen this. Daniel Craig isn't the first Bond to really bring his own taste into Bond. Roger Moore did that, and Roger Moore brought he brought his own tailor, Cyril Castle. He brought his shirt maker, Frank Foster, who was already a Bond shirt maker. But he also brought things that I don't think were quite right for Bond, like Gucci shoes. Gucci is that's not Bond. That was Roger Moore, but it's definitely not Bond. Bond wears English shoes, and that's something that we saw with Connery, something we're seeing now with Daniel Craig. But I think that Roger Moore did the same thing. He brought his own thing to Bond, whether or not it really was appropriate for the character.
Matt, did Roger Moore also wear Salvatore Ferragamo? I read that somewhere, that because he lived next door to the daughter, or Salvatore himself, after they found out he was wearing Gucci to one of the premieres of the Bond films. They said, well, that we're going to draw a line in the sand through that, pal. You're not going to be wearing Gucci anymore. Here are some shoes for the rest of your life.
That's right. Roger Moore did. He was wearing Gucci in his first 3 films. In Moonraker, I think we're seeing some Ferragamo shoes. I think some of the shoes even before that. I think he had some in some of the films before. He had both Gucci and Ferragamo. But,
yeah, but guys, I gotta say, it's not a but. It's just a gotta say, when something is in the movie, whether we want it to be or not, take Tommy Bahamas. It becomes a Bond brand.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember, getting the news, and then I went to Atlantic City, God knows why, never go back again. But I went to a Tommy Bahamas, and I'm walking around, and I'm like, I cannot believe this brand will always be a part of the historical alignment of the Bond lifestyle. And, I didn't go crashing through a window. I wound up surviving, and yes, I bought this shirt. So, I mean, it's an interesting question for you guys. And Matt, maybe you will probably be more passionate than any one of us. Just because you see Bond wear it doesn't mean that you want it. Isn't that correct?
Oh, true. But there are some things like, I do actually think that Roger Moore's Gucci shoes are very, very nice shoes. It's not. I'm not saying this because I don't like the shoes. I'm just saying that I think that there are some things that Bond wears that don't quite fit the history of the character. Right. And even though these are, Tommy Bahama, sure, that's a very unusual choice for Bond. I do like their restaurant.
Yeah, but 99% or more of the Bond world, and I include fans in that, but certainly the moviegoers, they don't know what brand these things are. They just look at Bond and they go, oh, well, Bond's in a suit, so therefore vis-a-vis. I mean, we've lived and breathed the brands and the lifestyle for so long. For us, we rip our hair out and scratch our heads. But for most of the world population, they just know Bond's in a suit and comfy loafers.
Yeah, that is something that's...
they're coming for you, Matt. The Gucci police.
Matt, run. Run, Matt. You got 60 seconds. Run. I'm begging you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, no, I think, one thing is that Bond does inspire people to wear suits. Just a suit in general is something that Bond inspires people to do. Whether, suits can be quite different. There are many different styles of suits. And if you want to know that, that's what my blog is for. But I think it is great that Bond just does inspire people to wear just a very generic style of clothing that they might not have worn before.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I think a lot of people, it's inspire what to wear, but it's also how to wear it. So I hear from a lot of people of, hey, I learned from your vlog and your blog and Matt's and Peter's how to wear a suit, or better yet, what size fits me, which, hey, I just learned this year. Medium, David, not small. And, little things like even your fitness. People have been motivated by their fitness because they want to connect more to the Bond look, or they want to wear a certain style, and they know that they may not be in the best shape. So it's motivated people to get into the best fitness of their life. That can't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, that's something entirely different than clothes, I think. Because the Bond lifestyle really incorporates so many different things, whether it can be for fitness or the complete opposite. I mean, James Bond can inspire people to be chain smokers and to be drunks. So, you can have it either way.
Yeah.
Do you know what? There was a couple of things that I've learned about Roger Moore. Today, as we were recording, it would have been Roger Moore's 92nd birthday today. And I'm working my way through again a couple of the books that he wrote. And not only was it the style that I've really taken aboard from Roger, but other little life lessons that he gives within the books, and also when he's on stage giving speeches. And one of them was that you should never eat in public. he could never figure out why people are walking around chewing on kebabs or burgers. And he goes, that's probably like the most ungentlemanly thing that you could probably do in your life. And as I had I think I had a cheese roll on the train yesterday, I actually put it back in my bag. So I'm tenuously linking here, but there's other things that go on around Bond, and there's things that you really do look at them and kind of almost aspire to be outside of the fashion. It's the lifestyle, like you say. It's whether you want to not eat foie gras. Roger Moore did a commercial where he was absolutely dead against foie gras because of the torture to ducks. And since then, I saw that, and that really shone a light on that. Well, I'm okay for foie gras for the rest of my days. So there's so much more that you can actually take. But it's always, I think, the good stuff.
I mean, even you think about vices. I mean, Bond. What I think we all love about Bond is he's not Superman. He's not a perfect individual. He's fallible. He's an anti-hero, but he's very capable. So even understanding what drink to order, it's a little bit of a lost art to really do that. I mean, people go, "Hey, I'll have a Bud Light." That's really easy to do, but to be able to say and to actually mix your own drink and know the ingredients and the right ingredients to do that and research that. You got people like David Lee, who knows all about that, and Joe Darlington, who, teaches people how to ride a horse. These are all very capable moments of Bond. And I think the mindset is not, even with Bond lifestylers, is not, I got to get the right suit and the right fit. It's being more capable about a host of different things. And yes, even drinking in vices. It's a positive thing. When I went to the shooting range to learn how to shoot and trigger discipline and things like that, it's a good argument to say, well, shooting is not, the nicest thing to do. And I'm not a paid assassin, so why do it? Well, I just wanted to become capable, another skill set that I could put in my armament that Bond would do. But guess what? It elevates me as well, and it helps to kind of shape who you are.
Yeah.
Well, that could definitely come in handy, during the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It's
coming, man.
David,
coming,
I see
right?
you doing the unboxing videos with that. It looks like a butterfly knife the way you're swinging it around, and so for all manner of things.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, question for you guys. I have. It's a little bit of a future question, if you will. So. I don't think there's any argument that, number one, the brands are getting more engaged with the Bond community and with lifestylers, et cetera. And brands, if you think about it in general, really do gravitate to the lifestyle. I mean, you could argue that Funko and things like that do not. But most of the ones that we see, does it ever get too much? I mean, we love all the brand advertisement and things like that. But, I could definitely see, even from our point of view, with it getting a little bit too much. And what is too much?
Yeah, Matt, do you want to take the lead on that?
Okay, well, I mean, for me, I don't think it could be too much because, I don't have a problem tuning out the things that I don't want. I don't mind being overloaded with things that I could possibly like. And if I'm not interested, like the Funko Pop toys, look at them, but I'm not that interested in, and I'll forget about them because they're not like my thing. So I don't mind it being out there. Like I know it's kind of reminds me about how people have been talking about how with Star Wars, there's too much Star Wars, and it's ruining Star Wars because there's just too much out there. Now, I mean, I'm not the big Star Wars fan that I was when I was a little kid, but I don't mind. If I don't want it, I won't pay attention to it, and I think that's easy enough.
Yeah, I kind of echo that. I don't think I can quite get enough at this stage. I think it's great, the level of content that we're actually getting. I do feel like there will be a time where I might just step back a little bit from doing the Pinterest, the Instagram, the Twitter, the YouTube, the blog, the vlog, the podcast. I mean, there might be a time where I'll go, I'm just needing a break from Bond, and just a break from social media in general. But you, like you say, Matt, you can kind of switch it on and off if you want. You don't have to have your computer on all day. I think what I might be lacking, if anything, is a lack of discipline towards that. So, just knowing when to really put the phone down for a few hours or just leave it behind when I walk Roger, etc. So I'm in no way, not getting enough or getting too much. I think we're actually at a really good time right now. I'm very excited.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy I'm very happy to get more and more things because it makes my life easier. In that it gives me something else to talk about, and I don't have to go searching for something else to talk about.
Yeah. David, what do you think about the Funko Pops?
I think they're kind of a guilty, creepy pleasure. I mean, I have them actually displayed by my office, and I collect them all, and I'm going to get them all. My favorite is the sheaf one with the ball buster. I think that's fantastic, and that's a must. But I do like them. It's interesting. Of course, I don't collect everything, despite some people thinking I do. But I think I'm being a little bit more choosy. Like even this time around, I'm not going to get every item of clothing I see Bond wearing. I'm being very choosy. I'm going to get like one suit. I already know the suit that I want, the one when he's in London where I got to see him in person, because that has an emotional connection. But I'm not going to get every suit that there is. So I'm just being very conscious of that, because you do get a surplus of these things over time. The Funko Pops, guilty pleasure.
And do you think that we're hitting the right level of Bond outage, or do you think it's saturated? Imagine if later down the road Sunspell release a line, if SD DuPont release a line. Do you think that there will be a point where you go, oh, crikey, guys, okay, let's rein it in a sec?
Well, I actually do think Sunspell is going to release a line. I think Lock & Co. is going to have a small line. I do. I'll tell you where I think it's not enough. Kind of going back to the earlier question, is I think they need to have more items that the large mass of people that want to connect with the look and the feel of Bond can really connect with. I mean, I go back to the 60s when they used to sell stuff at Sears with the 007 label, and you could get a T-shirt or a polo or something like that, like something for $35, which you can get them on 007.com, but they're T-shirts, but to really kind of connect with a sartorial Bond, I almost wish that, I'm trying to think of a brand that wouldn't lay waste to it. This will make Matt bristle, I'm sure, but if Target came out, or Target, with a small line of Bond pajamas. Let's just say pajamas, where you could get, Roger Moore's pajamas at Target. How much fun would that be?
Yeah, that actually might have even been a thing at one time. But I think that would be fun. And although, as I remember, you had the vlog with Ellis talking about younger people not being interested so much in Bond, and I think that would have to be, I think that market needs to be touched on more to really get young people interested in Bond, because it is the kids that would be interested in those Moonraker pajamas, as I certainly would have been when I was a kid.
Yes, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much. This has been good. Look, we hit upon a lot of different conversations. I knew it would go in a lot of different directions. I'd like to ask, could we do this again? I mean, this is going to be a part of a series, no doubt. But would you come back for more of this harassment?
I'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about it. We might put this out as a podcast, David, as well. In between this and Operation Main Strike Back, where we go against Joe Darlington and yourself on A View to a Kill. But of course, yeah, we'd love to come back on your channel.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. So this has been obviously Matt Spazer from the Suits of Jason, Peter Brooker from Tailors with Love, and of course David Zaritsky for the Bond Experience. And we'll see you all real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to be up on the latest from the Bond Experience, just click on this subscribe and subscribe to our channel. You're going to get all the latest and greatest information, plus some exclusive content. And by the way, speaking of content, here's something especially for you, just because we know you. Talk to you soon.